So I think this is the first trade video I'm making that's not a way too early one. I've decided to move on, ladies and gentlemen, changing the title to this video. I still don't know what it's going to be called, but probably something plain and simple like latest 2024 trades or something. I don't know. If I was watching a video and I saw that title, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's pretty hot. I don't know. We've got a ton of really awesome news to go over today with you guys that I thought you guys will hopefully enjoy. Again, some controversial latest updates that have been leaked out of nowhere on certain players that just, I mean, I definitely didn't expect. And look, I never thought the day Jake Stringer would finally give up on the Bombers, or the Bombers would finally give up on Jake Stringer, would ever happen, but it's legitimately here. Again, there have been reports by Callum Toomey that Jake Stringer has been telling people he's played his last game for the Bombers. And according to Cal Toomey, Collingwood actually have interest in trading for Stringer. Again, I believe it was a week or two ago. I think Tom Morris, don't quote me on this, but I think he might have said on SEM that Sydney were also interested. Someone definitely said Sydney were interested. I'm not exactly too sure. Again, I can see why both of these teams are interested, and I can see why some fans are really happy and some fans are really angry. I think there's a lot of Essendon fans who are actually pretty happy with this, so I'm not even going to lie. Again, for those of you who are wondering, isn't Jake Stringer contracted? Technically, he actually had a clause in his contract that if he played enough games for the Bombers this year, he could have an extra year. But it looks like he's actually declining that clause as he wanted more money and to be on a 2-year deal, which the Bombers have refused to give up. So whoever he goes to, if he does leave either Sydney or Collingwood, it will be on a 2-year deal, reportedly worth more than $400,000 a season. Again, say what you want about Jake Stringer, whether it's him, you know, being extremely lazy on the field, him having the biggest dad bod ever that looked like he just chucked some KFC in his mouth before the game, or him just being, did I mention, lazy on the field. He is a renowned goal kicker. Again, he was one of the higher goal kickers of the year. Not one of the highest, but I believe he kicked like 40 goals or something this year for Essendon, which, again, if I didn't tell you that or you hadn't read that before, you would probably be sitting at your screen right now being like, what the fuck? How did he kick that many goals? Look, every now and then, every like third game, Jake Stringer just pops off and kicks like 5. Again, it's an unnatural occurrence that no one can really quite explain. But then the next 2 games, he won't touch the ball and he'll look slower than someone who was in the movie WALL-E. Again, Jake Stringer would theoretically work for both Collingwood and Sydney. Collingwood have, for the last couple of years, been known to have a key forward or two that is mainly there to try and bring the ball down, mainly there to try and take a mark. They're not necessarily renowned to be the main goal kickers of the team. That's Dan McStay, Mason Cox, Darcy Cameron, whoever's down there at the time. Again, the other thing is with Collingwood, the guys who kick their goals are typically their high half forwards, whether that's Bo McCreary, Brody Myercheck, Lockie Schultz now, in previous years, Jack Ginnivan. They like their high half forwards. They also like their medium height forwards, again, in that Brody Myercheck. Previously as well, Ollie Henry was kind of that medium-sized forward that they also had on the team. Again, Jake Stringer makes sense because he's kind of like that player that Collingwood do like. Again, he and Jordan De Goey can have the battle of the dad bods out there on the field. Again, that would be pretty sexy. I'm not going to lie. I'd actually kind of like to see that. And then Sydney as well. Again, they've got their key forwards, but none of them are renowned to be massive goal kickers unless it was Joel Amadi in that one game this year where I think he kicked like 9, which, again, where did that come from? But yeah, they've got Will Hayward as well. They've got Isaac Heaney there as a high half forward when he plays down there. I think having another guy like Jake Stringer would be good for them. It's just the issue is any team that thinks they're going to get this guy cheap is just wrong. Like, if he's on a 1-year deal worth $400K at Essendon, he's probably going to be wanting a 2-year deal worth $500 to $600K, I'd assume. And look, Essendon might have already tried to offer him an extra $100,000 or $200,000 to stay, and he's probably just declined it for that extra year. So whoever gets him, whether it's the Swans or the Pies, or maybe another team who comes out of nowhere, will have to be offering him, again, that extra year that he's on right now. We also have a massive bombshell report that Sam Edmund dropped the other day, where he actually says that Dan Houston still wants to get back to Melbourne, even though he said he is staying. Carlton is in the front seat to potentially get him, but he's been told that St Kilda's offer is lucrative for Dan Houston. The Power believe Carlton is his choice, and Port want at least 2 first-round picks for the now recently made All-Australian. Again, I think it was his second time, right, that he's become All-Australian, which is insane for him. I just don't see how Carlton are able to fit this in the salary cap. Again, it's kind of reminded me of like 15, 20 years ago when they broke it and like got really touched without consent by the league. They were penalised hard that day. They were penalised almost as hard as what a BBC used to do to Mia Khalifa back in the day. But the thing is, I've spoken to a Carlton fan or two that are my mates, and they're not too sold on bringing in Houston if they have to pay overs. Again, there's a lot going on here. There's actually a video as well of Sam Edmund talking about how Carlton do want to keep their first round pick in this year's draft. So they may be looking to trade next year's first round pick to a team like Richmond, who's going to have a stack of them, to get another pick in this year's draft to trade to Port Adelaide. Again, I'm going to be making a separate video on that, I believe, because that's just a really interesting topic. But it does look like Carlton are actually talking with other teams to try and make this happen. The thing is, St Kilda are probably going to offer Houston more money, and they're going to be able to probably have a better offer to Port Adelaide in terms of trades. They have their first round pick. They're getting a later first round pick, which we know to be for Josh Battle. And I think if they want, they could try and stock up another couple picks here and there as well. The thing is with St Kilda, they've got 2 first round picks this year and a first round pick next year. If they wanted Dan Houston, they could really go out for him. And I think any St Kilda fan would tell you this. They don't really have an elite player. They don't have an All-Australian level player. They want a Max King to be that guy. He hasn't lived up to it. Callum Wilkie had a big drop-off, but I still think he's a really, really good player, and all Saints fans know that, but he's, again, getting up there in age. They want an elite player, and with Sinclair having to play a ton more midfield, it's kind of left a tiny bit of a hole on that half-back line for a playmaker who can run. Houston fits that perfectly. If he wants to get to St Kilda, I think they can definitely make this happen. And it makes sense for Port to try and get another first round pick or 2 in return for him. And doing this by Port Adelaide, you bring 1 or 2 first round picks back for him, you free up over $1 million probably in salary cap. Sam Edmund is saying they are also in the box seat to land Harry Perryman and Isaac Cumming from Port. Again, Harry Perryman has been offered a deal from Hawthorn, but it looks like he will be picking the Power. They are absolutely in the front seat for him. It's just crazy to think that Port Adelaide could be moving on Dan Houston, bringing in 2 first round picks and bringing in Harry Perryman and Isaac Cumming. And there's a chance the Giants don't even match them because what Port are offering them in money, the Giants might get decent picks back in return where they don't have to argue with Port over this. You essentially, if you're Port, are moving on Dan Houston for a first round pick or 2 and Harry Perryman and Isaac Cumming. If they can get pick 6 or so out of St Kilda for Houston, Isaac Cumming and Harry Perryman, wow, it's another finesse job by Port Adelaide. They somehow always do this where they're just super active in free agency and just continue to bring in guys and stock up this team. Again, are Perryman and Cumming as good as Houston? Maybe, right? But then that pick 5 as well will go and help you long term. This could be a point to them where they could go out and get Sid Draper, who's ranked like 5th, who is the best player from South Australia in this draft, an inside midfielder who could definitely help this team and give you more flexibility to have Horne-Francis to the forward more, have Rozee move forward more, maybe even play that half-back position that Kane Corns has been saying he should go and do. Again, Perryman wants to play more midfield, he wants to play more wing at Port Adelaide, so I think that will be in the deal too. And I still think Port could use another wing, so I like that move. Yeah, it is realistically all happening for Port Adelaide right now. If you're a Port fan, I don't know what's going on with Ken Hinkley or whatever. By the time this video comes out, maybe we will have known. I don't know. But the thing is, this is already sounding like a perfect free agency for them, and it hasn't even started yet. Again, we've been hearing rumors for a while now that Luke Parker could potentially be on the trade block right now. And it is being said that Victorian clubs reportedly hold talks with Sydney Star, or Victorian clubs, sorry. Contracted Sydney veteran Luke Parker has spoken with North Melbourne over a potential venture to Arden Street this off-season. Again, we've been knowing they are desperately looking for a inside midfielder who is a veteran and some more leadership. The leadership at North Melbourne really isn't that good, and their inside midfield is so young. I think Luke Parker would be perfect for North Melbourne, and the thing is, Luke Parker is barely getting a game at Sydney, and he's playing as like a high half forward now. If he wants to continue to play midfield, I think he should go to North Melbourne. This does suck though for Sydney. You're losing some depth. You're losing one of the best leaders you've ever had in the club. I mean, he was a captain for years for them. But the thing is, he's 31 years old now, turning 32. And he's going to be looking for a 3-year deal, which I legitimately think North Melbourne are going to offer him. Sydney aren't going to want to offer him anything past like a year. And North could offer him 3 years or more money. It makes sense for him to go. He could also help them push for finals maybe on that 3rd year or so. They should hopefully be ready by then for their sake. And again, if he doesn't work in the midfield by his 3rd year, he can go down and play forward, which we know he has the capability of doing. And I still think Luke Parker will, hopefully for him, be good enough over time where he can kind of do what Pendlebury did and play till he's like 36, 37. We'll definitely have to wait and see. Again, he's only 31. He's still got a lot of years to go. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this latest 2024 AFL trades video. Again, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Which one of these trades do you guys like the most? Which one do you hate? Whatever it might be, I'd very much like to know. Don't forget to subscribe to my IRL/vlogging channels and my gaming channels, which will be linked down below. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.